the 5 protective factors. Many of you probably know these, but in case you don't, the family strengthening framework is built on the concept that if parents have these 5 protective factors, and especially if they are strong in parents and families, then the likelihood of their children growing up safe and healthy and happy is much better. So today we're going to be delving into parental resilience, which is the first one there, and that's really, that's all about your ability to bounce back when you're facing something tough. Social connections, that's based on the concept that we all need people in our life to help support us. Knowledge of parenting and child development, so that's being equipped and understanding what's normal for children and for parents. The fourth is concrete support in times of need, and these are the basic things that we all need to survive, right? Food, shelter, clothing, housing, those kinds of things. And then the last, and this is what we will get into on our final learning community in May, and that's the social and emotional competence of children, right? Understanding the norms around child development. All right, so right now I'm going to ask Jennifer to come up, and she is going to lead us in a little introductory warm-up.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Rangel, and I'm from the Center for Human Services. I'm the co-lead for the Valley Learning Community. And this morning, I'd like at your tables, if you could say your name, the agency you're from, if you're all from the same agency, maybe what program or department you work in. And then the question you all will be answering this morning is, if you could choose your age forever, what age would you choose and why? So something light and fun to get us started this morning. We'll give you about 10 minutes. Okay.
All right. Any we didn't really plan on this, but any reflections from any of the sites about what age you chose? Somebody's waving. Oh yeah, or clapping in Merced. Anybody in Merced?
What was the question?
Anybody want to share about their age that they chose?
We are all over the place, from childhood to older adulthood. We have a range of ages that we wish we were.
Did anybody choose infancy? No.
Oh.
Just kidding.
Oh. Five was our youngest.
5 is the youngest. Okay, that's cool. 5 would be good. What about Fresno folks? Anybody there want to share?
So Sandra from ESC just jokingly said age 0, where she was like non-born or still in the valley. I think all of us were in different ages, but it was more than anything for me, the reflection is that we were able to talk about really, really good things that made us happy, or we were carefree, which felt like that was the common thing about we were carefree. There was nothing we had to think about or stress about, or like no bills, and life was pretty, just carefree, just chill.
Awesome. That's great. That's what I was thinking. My age was like, early college, because I felt the same way. I love that time of life. That was so much fun. Carrie, we have somebody online that wanted to share? Oh.
So we had our Lake Isabella staff. Amanda is a differential response case manager, would like to be forever 26 because this is when she became a mom. And Melissa, the DR supervisor, would be 40 forever. She has so much experience in life and comfortable mother of 4, husband of 25 years. And then she added later on for me, 1 husband of 25 years, because I always introduce myself that I have 1 husband for 38 years. And she remembered that from a training. So she has 1 husband of 25 years.
Thank you. Thank you to our online peeps. We appreciate that. All right. Okay, thanks for that, Jennifer. All right, well, I am going to invite our parents up. We have Peter and Terry and Veronica. So I'm going to ask you all to come up and take a seat there. All right. What's that? I'm going to ask you the questions. So there you go. All right. How's that, Shane? Can you see everybody okay? Okay. Awesome. All right. I feel a little bit like Oprah right now. You get a car. You get diamonds. Yeah. Except she has more comfortable chairs. Pretty sure. Different set. But anyway. Just we have some really fantastic parents who've joined us this morning, and I'm sure you all know it's not easy necessarily to be in front of people. So appreciate your attention and your support in the crowd with folks. So we have Terry and Peter and Veronica with us, and we have some questions that we gave them in advance to think about for today, to help us learn a little bit more about them and their stories of resilience. So what we're going to do, everybody, is just ask one question at a time. I'll ask the question, and then you all can just respond however you want to. It doesn't have to be in a row. It's just whoever wants to go. We'll just kind of free form it and be very casual about that. Okay. Then we also have, like, in between some of the questions, we've got a couple of very short videos that we're going to show you. So we're going to mix it up a little bit this morning. So Anyway, first question. Tell us about a time when it was really hard for you to be a strong parent. That's the first question. So whoever wants to start. Whoever wants to start, I'm going to pass the microphone to, so you just need to speak into that.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Peter. So, a time that was really hard for me to be a strong parent was when I was in my last year of college to obtain my bachelor's degree in business. I was going to college full time, working, taking care of my two children, and helping run a household. One of the toughest things for me was when my 4 to 5 year old daughter at the time would tell me, Daddy, play with me, Daddy, stay home. And I would have to tell my daughter, Daddy can't right now, Daddy's busy, Daddy has to go to school and work. And hearing my daughter tell me, Daddy, you're always busy. And that was like a shot to the heart for me because she was right. I was always busy. And I felt tremendous guilt. I knew that she was at a young age right now. I knew that she wanted to spend time with her parents, but we had to do what we had to do to provide for a better life for her. And I knew that if I didn't sacrifice now to do what it took to one day provide a better life for her, I'd be sacrificing for the rest of my life. So that was a tremendously tough time, but I knew I was sacrificing for the right reasons, which helped alleviate a lot of the guilt.
Do you want to go?
Super excited about
Hi. There's been many times, but one of the last times, I'm sorry, I get very emotional. I just hate that about myself. Was when one morning my husband just decided to leave, and sorry, my 8-year-old said, he said, "Oh, Mom, Dad just left," and he said not to look for him. And then my 10-year-old daughter told me, "It's all your fault because you let him come back." 3 times in a row. And that's when I said, I gotta stop all this. I got 6 children. I have 2 in college, and I just look for help. And I guess the first place that I went is Serious Partnership. And I started, I didn't even think about how am I gonna do it. I'm a substitute teacher and I love it. And but my kids, they gave me the strength. And I said I got 6 reasons to keep going, and I'm gonna get out of this one. And he ain't coming back. He left and he's not gonna come back because I know I was damaging my kids and they wouldn't trust in me anymore. And I guess that's what hurts me more, that I'm building trust with them. And I started going to a class in Serious Partnership with my baby, and that's quality time. It's an hour, and I enjoy it, and she does too. I talked to Adriana there, and I started counseling, and then my kids started counseling, and I even got some help with paying the bills, like 3 times, and I think I'm getting the help that I need, and basically, I'm looking every day, getting ahead and not giving up for my kids, because basically they only have me. I think Wow. Sorry, I'm so, wow. I'm sorry, let me gather myself a second. I know at times I have to, I have to always say that I can't, I'm just,
I have to collect myself. I'm sorry. Give me a moment. I often say that at times my eyes are broken and sometimes they leak. So on occasion, there's fluid that comes out, so don't mind the fluid that comes out sometimes. It's just, right, right, right. Just being a strong parent and being resilient for me that, you know, where I have to continuously be strong for my girls. I have two girls. My first daughter is 23. Yes, 23 years of age, and she's in the Navy right now. My second daughter is 12, and she's in the seventh grade right now. Um, the difference of my parenting skills of how I am with my 12-year-old now opposed to my 23-year-old is very different because of the situation and the life that I was living at the time when I had my first daughter. I was a single parent. I am a child of the system. I was adopted. Um, I'm a former Chicagoan. I'm from Chicago. Um, I was adopted in a home that I thought was to be of a difference of love, to give you support, guidance, and care. Um, in addition to that, on occasion, there were other things that were offered. You have the verbal, the mental abuse, continuously. As you're a child, you don't know, but you harbor these things, and these things become a part of you. As you become adults, if those things are not addressed, as you have kids, those things are there within you. So as things, come to the surface, you deal with things in various ways. When I was a single parent, a single mom, when I chose to decide to keep my daughter, my first daughter, going through some situations with at that time, a very immature adult guy, who I felt was the world. You know, I was raised with good values, good morals. In addition to the other things, I took out what was the best for me to raise my kid. From that, just knowing that regardless of what, I had to live for her on a continuous basis. So no matter what life threw at me, I had to always live for her and be the best I could be, regardless of what situation that I was going through. I've went through homelessness. I've went through being jobless. I've been through on aid, off and on, continuously throughout the course of my life. Every job that I've, acquired, I've always been the best that I could be because I knew that I had to provide for my daughter. Many, many times, life throws things at you, and it's just you as an individual, you have to pull out that, I guess, that something that is within that continues to drive you to show the kids that you have that you can be better and that you can do better no matter what. With my first daughter, before actually when I was pregnant with her, I had someone tell me that they, had a place. I was very lenient. I was very, very gullible when I went because I just thought that was the only option I had. Surely found out that that wasn't the situation. I became homeless. This was out in Fresno back in the 90s. And at that time, there were very minimum street lights. As I was walking and I was 5 months pregnant, I had no idea of what to do or where to go. At that time, payphones were still available. So I would go walk back and forth to the payphone to make calls to individuals that I think that can come save me from the situation. But I didn't know where to go or who to turn to. At that moment in time, I pulled out something within me that I had not realized that I had. The strength to continue, the strength to carry on, the strength to be motivated to say that I'm better than this, I can do better, I can get through this. Shortly after, I walked up a street that had a garage door open, light on, guy was outside working on the car. I let him know I was 5 months pregnant. And he says, well, I'm not the owner of the house, I'm just a mechanic. So I'm going to go ahead and get the kids that were in the house. The parents were on a vacation. These kids who had not known me, they never saw me, I was a stranger, took me in. And I think that that was the most it was the most phenomenal thing that I could have ever experienced. They never asked a question. They didn't care what race I was. They didn't care what, if anything was to happen to them. They was there to show compassion to me. And that allowed me to continue to say, you know what? Life is going to be okay. It continues to allow me to be strong. I continue to fight because I know I have my 2 girls, and I know that no matter what life throws at me, I'm going to always continue to strive and just do what I can to show them that, you know what, you can still do it. Life is going to throw things at you no matter what, but it's up to you to decide if you have the power to keep going on and on. So I know I went too far, I went too long, and I hope that's okay, but I'm just, I pull that strength no matter what no matter what I do, I pull that strength out of everything, no matter what. Parents are superheroes. We take no matter what. We continuously drive, we continuously do no matter what. So we have to be strong for our kids. And sometimes I tell my daughter, most of the time I tell my daughter, you know, you're never too old to learn, but you're never too young to teach. Kids are our teachers as well. So just as well as I'm teaching her and being strong for her and showing her how things that I'm handling in my life, no matter what barriers come my way, you continuously be strong. You have the power and you have control over everything you do. Your mindset is everything. If you got it in your mind, anything is possible. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Terry. Wow. I don't know about you guys. It's hard for me to think of 3 more resilient people than are sitting up here with us right now. So, and thank you again for sharing. I thought maybe I should have had like an easier warm-up question, like, what's your favorite color and why? So thank you all for jumping in and doing that, and starting out. I know that was hard, and but we appreciate your transparency and your honesty. So thank you. So second question is a little bit more about your family, and the second question is, how do you stay strong and flexible for your family? What do you do? Peter, you want to start out again?
So the way that I stay strong and flexible for my family is to always be growing as an individual. Last year, I read 6 different books on personal development, which helps me grow as a man, a father, and as a business professional. I'm constantly listening to audiobooks and videos on YouTube, which really help me. You know, could you guys hear me? Got it. So I'm constantly growing and learning as an individual, and I feel like that's so vital as a parent, because if we stop growing individually, then we're going to stop growing as a parent. You know, in the personal development arena, we say that an apple a day keeps the doctors away, but 10 to 30 pages of a good book a day keeps the ignorances away. And I feel like that helps, you know, because there's times when I do get frustrated. There's times when I do, you know, do not feel like myself, and then I'll listen to some type of audio which will, you know, help change my mind, the state of mind that I'm in right now, and it helps me refocus on what's important and what I can control.
Yes, thank you.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, so the question is, how do you stay strong and flexible for your family?
Thank you. Pretty much the same way, very similar. I think that staying flexible and strong is the mindset. If nothing else, is the mindset. There's so many things that life is going to throw at you continuously, and we all can experience that. I think that just continuously knowing what you're feeding your mind and what you're telling yourself is going to allow you to grow. I am the same way when it comes to audiobooks. I am the same way when it comes to motivational speakers. My I guess my all-time favorite is Les Brown. But I just think that continuously feeding yourself with the positive information that is necessary to understand that everything is temporary. Nothing is forever. You will always go through something. It's not how you fall. As long as you can look up, you can get up. Simple as that. It's all a mindset. And I think that in society, sometimes if you're not given the opportunity to understand that this too shall pass, you'll go through this continuously. But it's what can you do? What can you learn from the situation and understand that it's just a learning experience? Sometimes I know that I have to go through things because I have to grow. And for that, like I said, I do motivational I do motivational reading, motivational thinking. I do audiobooks. I do things that's going to feed my mind the most positive thing possible to understand that the outcome of that is going to be positive things. So feeding it the right information is going to give it the right outcome. Yeah.
I do the audio things too. I have a couple of them. Every time I feel like, I'm not going to be able to do it, or I feel stress, a lot of stress, I go to those audios and I try to stay away from my everything, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. And before, I wouldn't find time for myself. So I would just like explode. And now I've noticed that going to support groups, it helps me a lot. And being able to find that time, like I gotta be there. I mean, no matter what, it's like we gotta eat, we gotta sleep. Like every Friday morning, I know I gotta be there from 9 to 11. And before I were like, I don't have time. I gotta do this. My kids have. It's like no more, because that's not helping. And then having 2 kids in college, I mean, they support me a lot. So I gotta support them and I gotta be strong for them. Sometimes I do feel like down, like I can't anymore. I have cluster headaches. So they get so worse, like 3-4 hours, and they just come out of nowhere. And lately, I've noticed that I had to tell my kids what's going on, so I would get that understanding from them. And it's not like, Mom, it's mad. Mom is all stressed out. Mom, it's. And I said I gotta tell my kids what's going on, and that actually helped a lot. I've been more I'm getting their trust back. And even when I say, you know what, I can't do it, that's too much, my daughter comes back to me and she calls me, I'm a fan of Wonder Woman, but she's 21, she calls me Wonder Mommy. I was like, I'm not even Wonder Mommy. So this morning when I was coming over here, she called me, she's in UC Davis. She told me, Mom, don't forget, I said, I don't want to go. I don't like interviews. And I said, you got to be there. You have to be there, and I'll call you when I get out. And she's never told me before. It's hard for us to tell us how we feel because of the way we grew up. But I noticed that I've been starting to tell at least her that she has a way that I love her, that I'm really proud of her, and that she has so many dreams. She wants to be a doctor, and no matter that she doesn't have the support of that individual, I know she's gonna make it. And I've told her, you know what? I've got so much help that I didn't even knew existed before. I mean, I thought I was alone, and I'm just so I'm actually proud of myself in some way that I gotta be strong for my kids, and I guess that's it.
Wow, that was great. You're all wonder parents for sure. I mean, that is super clear. And I heard you all talk a lot about resetting. So having something positive, whether it's your daughter telling you, "Hey, Mom, you're awesome," or listening to some audio, or taking in something positive and motivational. I was thinking about that because we're surrounded by so much negativity. There's something about the world today that it's just can just be like a daily onslaught to try and keep yourself, strong. And then, then you have your children to consider. So I also heard taking time out for yourself and making sure that you get what you need, is really important. So thank you. All right, we're gonna show a quick little video here, continuing to hear from some parents about resilience. There we go. Sorry, I'm not sure why there was a delay too. There wasn't in the beginning when we played it. Okay, perfect. Angelica's done. Angelita. Sorry, Angelita. Okay. Okay. We've got a couple more questions. So we'll get into the third question now. Then we will have another video feature, and then we'll go back into the last question. Okay. All right. So panel. The third question is, what are some important life lessons you've learned that make you a better parent? Peter's so good. He's like, I'm just going to jump right in.
Some of the important life lessons that I have learned that make me a better parent are a few. First, I've learned that we all have to pay the price. The price is different for everybody, but we all must pay the price, either willingly on our terms or forcibly on life's terms. I'm choosing to pay the price willingly on my terms to make a better life for my family. Second, we can't control many things in life, but we can control our attitudes and our productivity. I think it's important to understand that those are the, two of the basic things that we can control. If we leave here today and we get a flat tire, we can't control that we got that flat tire. But we can't control our attitude towards that flat tire. We can be mad, we can be pissed off, it can ruin the rest of our day, or we can choose to look at it as an inconvenience and move on from it. And I think as a parent, there's many things that we can't control. And if we focus too much on the things that we can't control, then our days are going to be ruined. And when we realize there's only a few things that we can control, our attitude and our productivity, I feel like it definitely helps us as individuals and as parents. Thirdly, in order for things, this is one of the things that I feel like have really helped me. In order for things to change and get better, we ourselves have to change and become better. And I think that's important. The last life lesson that I feel has helped me become a better parent is realizing that our children didn't ask to be born. Our children are here because of our actions. Sometimes our selfish actions or negligent actions, but they are here nonetheless because of us. And our children shouldn't have to accommodate us and our lifestyles. We as parents should accommodate them and try to be there for them as best as we can because they're here because of us. And I think it's very important to realize that children are individuals and they should be treated with autonomy. They should be treated as individuals because that's what they are. When we want to discard their feelings or their actions, I think it does more damage to them. I think it's important to let our children know that it's okay to get frustrated. It's okay to get mad. It's okay to get sad. It's okay to get angry. It's not okay to act out on those feelings, but it's okay to feel those feelings. And I think when we give our children the right to feel their emotions and express it in a positive way, that it helps us as parents and helps us as we raise our children. That's it.
Life lessons that I've learned throughout the course of my life of living is a number of things. Just, not taking things too seriously. Again, same concept of we're definitely not in control of how things happen. We're not at all. Because we're not in control, we have to always think, like, for me, I always say, what can I learn? What can I learn from the situation and how can I grow? Are the two main things that I always look at no matter what I do, no matter what happens to me. That's the main thing that I do. Just always continuously trying. Life lessons is always continuously trying to understand that you have to continuously grow. You have to continuously go and understand that no matter what, things are going to happen. I try my best to not, how do I say, react to certain things, because when you react to certain things, it doesn't allow you the process to understand why those things are happening. Everything happens for a reason. Some things we are not acceptable of, some things that we don't want to happen, but if we force things to happen, they happen. Always been a good person, I think, and always giving. Life lessons is always being grateful for what I have, regardless of what's going on in my life. I always am grateful. I always teach my girls to confirm that no matter what's going on in your life, there's a reason to always be grateful for something, no matter what, because there's something that you have that someone else doesn't. We are totally blessed beyond our own imagination. We can walk in here, we can talk, we can have the voice to communicate, we can have the ears to hear, we have the eyes to see. And there's individuals out there that doesn't have that, who can't have that. So always being grateful no matter what the situation is, always thinking from the perspective as being positive is always a life benefit to have, is because no matter what, things are always going to be hard. But again, always do your best. Try to give whenever possible. One of the things that I continuously do, and this is my second time giving. Back in high school, I learned a lesson of being a friend. Being a friend. Sometimes people don't have that. And I needed it at the time. My high school friends were there for me to be a friend, provided me with the opportunity to go to prom. Went to prom, had a blast. So that's what I do now. I give back. I show my daughters, and my daughter, the main one now that's younger, to be grateful to give back. So we do prom makeovers on occasion. This is my second year doing it, free for all. Any girl that comes down, we're going to give it to her. We're going to allow her to be able to experience something that is just so awesome. That little bit of hope to say that you could be a princess for the day. So life lessons I always do, always giving, always be grateful, always be thankful, never give up. I continuously do that no matter what, whatever comes my way. Yeah.
Sorry. Um, that grateful. Yeah, I've showed my kids to be grateful for everything too. To value not material stuff, but just being together as a family. I already have 2 adults, but I have 1 teenager, and just getting closer to him, being able to understand him, what he's going through, not going back to my life and say, oh, well, this is what I went through. Well, there's nothing I can do. You got to go through it. No, I try to be there for him. Not like my parents were not there for me. I'm there for him. And I try, like I've learned that a lot of us, we're Hispanic culture, that's the way they treat us. Well, we got to keep doing it like that. I don't even tell my kids that. They actually just think about it. Oh, that's probably why she was that way. And now they don't even say it anymore because they know me like I am right now. And I guess they value everything that we do together, every moment. It doesn't matter. We just go to McDonald's, we go to church, 15, 10, 20 minutes that I spend with each one of them. Because before I was so tied up in my own problems, like, you know what, I don't have time. It could be later. You know what, I'm doing this. Now I'm cooking, just sit right there and we can talk while I'm cooking. Or do you want to help me? So that's one thing that I learned. My son, he's 20, he just keeps telling me that I've changed so much. Before I couldn't even tell him I love you. Now I can, even though I cry, but before I couldn't even hug them. And now I can actually just go and hug them. And even though they're grown-ups, I mean, I used to only hug my kids until they're like 8 years old. And then I would stop. And I finally knew why I actually stopped hugging my kids or showing them affection. But it doesn't matter now. I know, and I'm going to change that. I mean, my past is that I cannot change my past. I mean, but I can start a new, better future for my kids and a better present. And I would tell my kids, what didn't kill me, it's making me stronger. And I'm just going to be there for my kids. And I'm trying to do things better for them and for me, because I know I have to be strong and I have to be healthy for them. And everything I do is just for my kids. I mean, they're my life, and that's my purpose in life. I mean, my kids, and help them if they want to be a doctor, whatever they want to be. And I just heard my baby outside. I had to bring them to me, but I have the oldest one taking care of them.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to do Jennifer okay, so now we're going to we're going to take a few minutes and look at our next video. Okay, yes. For our remote partners and online partners, we're going to watch the video now.
One that is 10 years old and one that is 6, almost 7 years old. The question that's posed to me is, how do you balance your children's needs with your own? It's really challenging, but it's important to prioritize.
Okay, Now we're ready for real. Okay. Okay, so for parents, Terry, Peter, and Veronica, they're, out here. There are a lot of us that are working in social services, and in Merced County and Fresno County, people are in the field of wanting to help. And particularly, a lot of us are working with parents. So I want you to think about that and tell us, what do you think is important for those of us that are trying to help and support parents? What's important for us to think about in the work that we do? What do we need to know?
Do you want to go first, Peter?
So my advice to all who help, support, and work with parents is to understand that individuals and parents have to want to be better, do better, and live better. They have to take personal responsibility and accountability for themselves and their future. That you all are resources to help them, but it still falls on them. You can want a better life for the parents you are helping, but if they don't believe that they can do better, have better, and aren't willing to do what it takes to have a better quality of life, then it's not going to happen for them. Lastly, our belief systems are important. We as parents have to first believe that we are capable of having a better life, being better parents than the ones that raised us. Believe that we can put in the work today and that it will one day pay off at some point in the future. If you guys can get the parents to truly believe in themselves, then you all will be more effective in the support and helping that is being offered. I really enjoy the quote by Oprah Winfrey. She says, "You don't get in life what you want. You don't get in life what you think about. You get in life what you believe you can have." And I think that's critical, because if we as parents don't believe that we can become better parents than than the past generations that raised us, if we don't think that we can do better than what society is, the projections that society is putting on us, if we don't think that we can do better than, what we've done previous, then we aren't going to put the effort in order to do better. Our belief systems are powerful, and if you guys can help get the parents to believe in themselves and believe that the actions that they're taking will one day pay off in a positive way, then I think that it will be a lot more effective.
For me, I would think that the best, or some of the best type of teachings, of course, would be from the actual participants that you service. Um, the mindset is the most important thing, and unfortunately, it's at the mindset of a participant, from what I've experienced so far, has been, why am I here? I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And so that shows in participation, that shows in the engagement, shows just a number of things, how they interact with each other in the class. Um, I think the base foundation of what helps me continuously, I guess the connection is the key, that I've experienced so far. The connection is the key for each parent to understand that, you're in this situation for a reason, for a number of reasons. To get that glimmer of light, to have it cut on, to have them understand that, regardless of what you're going through, if you take advantage of the resources available to you, and if you communicate effectively with what you're going through, you can be out of the situation. So continuously connecting with the staff, engaging with the participants, letting them know that, we're here to help you, I think is the main thing. Unfortunately, some of the parents who don't choose to share certain information, you can't always understand what they need service with. And so it's like playing the guess what game. It's just like to confirm what information, what questions am I having to ask to be able to pull out what is necessary so I can give them all of this information and love that I know that they can benefit from. If they don't know, though, and most of the time they don't, based on their upbringing, that is the key, I think, to a lot of the blockage that some of the participants choose not to get assistance for. And the blockage will be for various reasons. Of course, the classes that is offered, I always suggest to my boss and some of the unemployment specialists, there needs to be a boo class, my boo class, because the boos are sometimes the barriers. And the value and the self-love that each participant or each person has can definitely play a key factor in the blockage sometimes that they can choose not to accept, because the boo, again, is the barrier. So you continuously give all this love and the support and these resources to these individuals that have no access to these things any other way. I call my participants the VIP club, because you can't just walk in off of the street and get the services that's offered to you by Center for Human Services. I also have them in the mindset of understanding that this is a job, not just necessarily a class setting. It's a job. Your weekly agendas is your schedule. You're saying, hey, boss, I'm going to come in today on this day. So when you choose not to show, that's just pretty much saying that it's a no call, no show. So I think changing the mindset of having them understand, like, yes, these things are awesome. The resources are available to you, but you have to understand that your mindset has to change. If we're giving you all this good information, all of these good resources, all of this good love, and then you're going back to the same type of environment, it's not going to change. Nothing's going to change. All that information is going to go down the drain. So continuously evolving, continuously growing, but also understanding that the participants also, there's so much to be learned from them as well. But I appreciate what I've learned so far from the participants and what is being provided from Center for Human Services. I think it's an awesome program. I am a participant. Again, just as Paul said, the mindset is the most important thing. If you've been constantly beaten, constantly told you can't, constantly been broken down continuously, you're going to eventually give up. And if you're giving up in the mind, that's the first thing to go. Everything else follows. No matter, someone can tell you you're beautiful, you're awesome, you're this, we can give you all of this support, we can pay this bill for you, we can get you this particular training. If their mindset and their environment is the same, they will continue to produce the same results. So sometimes the engagement and the connection is the key to get in there. If I can get a pinky toe in, I'm going to get in, and just really let them know that you have this opportunity. You can grow with it. You can change. And so we do. So the connection, I think, is the key. Also understanding that we can definitely learn a lot from the participants, but just keep doing what you're doing because it's awesome, and I appreciate it.
Just by doing this, that shows a lot. I thought it was going to be different when I walked in. I thought it was going to be me and just one more person, but no, and I didn't even ask. I was thinking about asking, but I never did. But this shows a lot about caring, and this is awesome, really. Another thing is that just being a good listeners, asking as many questions, not judging by what we look, or I've had good CPS workers and really, really bad ones. I've got some that really understand, and they really care, not mostly about me, but about the children. And they know how to get into you, how to talk to you without making you feel like it's all our fault. um, I've got really good counselors, really good ones, and got really some bad experiences, not inside the human resources, but outside. But I've learned that when you're actually asking for help and you need it, you gotta be open. You gotta say everything. You can't keep anything, because it's just like going to the doctor and you don't say that everything that hurts, they're gonna be able to help you. Even though one time I actually got in trouble for it's not talking too much. I mean, I said the truth and I know I was wrong, but I needed help. And I didn't want my kids to end up in the system. And I did get in trouble, but I found a really good counselor, and she said it was actually good that I said everything, because that's the only way to help my kids. And I wasn't judged. I know it was that's what they were supposed to do a report based on what I said. Um, but then, I mean, everything clears up once they knew me and they talked to me and they talked to my children and they came to my house and they did everything they had to do. I mean, all for the best of the children. And now I understand. That as long as you do your job, I mean, um, you'll do great. I mean, just this. I mean, this is really great. It shows a lot that there's people out there that really care about us as parents to become better. Um, and if we become better as parents, then our future, our kids, I mean, the future will be better. Thank you.
Wow, how about another hand for the panel? Thank you. Yay. We're gonna pause for a few minutes, and I'm gonna invite those of you here and at our remote sites and online. We're gonna have some time now for questions that you want to ask of any of our parents. And I just want to say that I think that the reflections that you all offered for those of us are always really, really important reminders. I heard that we as professionals need to inquire, but also listen. So we need to ask questions, but we need to listen as well. And having peer involvement, learning from participants, being open, having the understanding that everybody has strengths. And I think that's one of the best things about the protective factors and the strengthening families framework is that that's where we start. So we're not starting in a place of, here's all the things that I see that need to be fixed in your life. You know, we start with, you have some fantastic strengths. Here's what I see. What do you see? And so, and that really is, you know, that's the basis of our whole series here, is all those things put together and how they strengthen people. So, okay, so we're going to have some time for questions. Shane, how should we do this? Shane, do you want to go like by site or? Okay. Okay. Okay, Monica, you're unmuted. Do anybody in your group have any questions or reflections for our parents?
We might. We haven't had a chance to really discuss that, so I'm assuming everybody has questions. I have one question. First of all, we want to thank the parents for their vulnerability and their transparency today. You know, what we said here when we had a moment was we're so used to talking to parents that this is a gift for us just to be able to listen. So thank you. One of the first points that was brought up was having us help parents believe in themselves. And I'm going to ask that of this entire group and the parents, what can we do to help parents to believe in themselves?
I would say to really incorporate more, how do I say, of a flow, more so of a flow of things. And um, it's really hard, I guess, well, it's not really hard. Nothing's ever hard. It's just, it's a challenge to confirm what the challenge is, to offer more things to inquire as an individual. Sometimes participants do connect with an individual in particular. Sometimes, depending on their background, they can find one gender to be more offensive than the other, depending on what what they've experienced in their life, what they're going through in their life. Um, I think just really looking at the individual as they come in from time to time, even the repeat participants, because there are some participants that do come back a number of times because life goes up and life goes down. But I think that to take them as a new individual, from my experience, I know sometimes I've overheard like, okay, this person is a repeat, participant, and some of the things that comes along with that. But then the person having an interaction with a new and in more a new situation or a more engaging individual can be more susceptible of being able to accept the help that is they're receiving. So I think to really I guess to get more involved, more connection. I think it's the connection is the key. So whatever way, the connection can be in so many various ways. And I do understand there's protocol, there's things that you can't do and you can do with things within reason. But I think whatever way possible to build a better connection is probably the best way to allow the bond to grow better, which will allow them to let their guards down, to be able to share more information and to be more acceptable of receiving more resources. Just building that connection, building that bond. Even sometimes if it's, of course, showing your vulnerability and sharing your stories. One of the participants, one of the how do I say, one of the, what do I call her? Yes, one of the staff. One of the staff, shared her story, and it's mind blowing because this is like, wow, I'm not only. That reminds me of this commercial. I'm not only the client, I'm a president. But it just allows you to be able to see that, I'm here right now, but I was there. I was once you. I was once sitting in that same seat that you were sitting in, and look where I am. Even though I know through the barriers, through the heartaches, through the pains, I went through it, but look what I was able to achieve because I changed my mindset. So if you're able to connect, help change the mindset, get information, if that means home visits to find out, because some participants are not being forthcoming. That's another thing. Me being in the class and some of the participants are not being forthcoming. You can make so many contact notes, you can make so much, referrals or information, but if they're not being forthcoming, they share more information when they huddle together and talk amongst themselves. Maybe dropping in the mall might be an option. But connection, engaging, and letting them know that I'm not only the president, but I'm the client type of way is something awesome. That something can be more beneficial, I think. But from my experience, I think I want to share that. Yeah, you're welcome.
So when I look back and reflect on what it is that helped me believe in myself, it was really a lot of the personal self-development. I think some of the key players that really helped influence me was Les Brown, that was mentioned, Tony Robbins, John C. Maxwell. I feel like those three are very critical in the personal development arena. And a strategy that I used to do while I was in college was, while I was doing my homework on the computer, I would have another tab open and I would be playing Tony Robbins. I mean, I attest Tony Robbins to me passing college, but it helped me, So while I'm doing my schoolwork, I'm listening to Tony Robbins, I'm listening to Les Brown, I'm listening to John Maxwell and a few others. And consciously, I wouldn't pick up on everything, but I knew subconsciously I would. And when I would go on about life, whenever some type of difficulty would arise or some situation would arise, there was that information that I was retaining that would come into play and would really help me. I remember a few years ago, I was talking to an individual who was probably in about his 40s or 50s, but he spent a good period of his life in and out of prison. And I knew there was nothing that I can do to help him. But I told him, I said, hey, go on YouTube, search up Tony Robbins. Because I knew I couldn't say anything to help him, but I knew that Tony Robbins could say something that could help him. And what's funny was I knew his son-in-law. Well, 6 months later, his son-in-law tells me, hey, you like Tony Robbins, huh? I'm like, yeah, I do. He's like, yeah, I seen my father-in-law listening to it. So his father-in-law is doing a lot better now because of the new information that he was now receiving, which was helping him believe in himself and changing his mindset, which I believe is helping change the outcome of his life, because it's easy to get stuck into that rapid cycle of thinking that things aren't going to change and things aren't going to get better. And another thing is, I mean, it's critical, 10 to 30 pages a day, of a good book. I try to read every day, well, at least 5 times a week. I try to read 10 to 30 pages of a good book. And I think that if we can get participants to start reading 10 to 30 pages of a good book that is going to help them believe in themselves, I think it'll make all the difference. As well as playing a video, there's something that, sometimes we tune out instructors and teachers and people that want to help us, but when we're listening to somebody, they could be just that one line that is the game changer for us. And I think that can really help in the participants believing in themselves.
I didn't talk about
Thank you. Yeah, and anybody can respond to this, so you don't feel like you have to. Veronica's like, yeah, I'm taking a break right now. Okay. Monica, any other questions from your crew?
Does anybody else have a question from the school's perspective? What can we do to help parents? Because we always don't know social workers are involved already. So what can we do where the parents and the school work together? Because we have the students and we may not be aware of everything that's going on. So what could happen with respect to the support that they would need from us, and how do we make that connection with them?
Monica, can you repeat that for us so we could hear it?
So we would like to know, we talk a lot about how social workers or home visitors connect with families, but the question is really now coming from a school perspective. As a school, what can schools do to help connect with families? Because they don't have staff with a social work background. We've got general teachers and educators. What would your advice be to schools, for schools?
For schools, I would say to be more flexible with what's available to the parents, to be able to offer openness, I guess, to allow certain parents, because if you understand from a parent's perspective who may be in a single family home, who is the only main provider for the home, their time is limited. If they're, working from check to check and they have to be at work, they can't call off, that limits the time on when they can actually be really involved with a connection to find out things about what's going on at the school or being more involved with the school. So I guess maybe offering some better ways or some better options for parents to be able to be involved with things that's available. Maybe even, seeing what's available, what parents will be available for volunteer time or weekend time, because sometimes the weekends may be a benefit for parents who can't take the time off work, to be able to get involved with helping with certain things for the school and making that connection. Also to confirming what and how the parents are being contacted, be it if it's an email that's easier for you, or being that, leaving voicemails is easier for you, making sure that there is a connection available, because some parents don't have internet services or something like that. So making sure that you have a number of different ways to contact and be able to share information to parents who are in need and would like to be a part of it. Also making sure that, I guess to be available to what is available, what is an option for low income, because most of the time the low income parents seem to be very less engaging because they don't understand something. You may have a translation issue, you may have a translation problem, or you just may have individuals who don't feel they belong because they're not welcome to be able to share information, to let them know that regardless of what income you're at, regardless of what background you're coming from, regardless of what race, there is a benefit for you to be heard. Simple as that. And I think making sure that the schools are offering options for the parents to connect on multiple levels, on various days, various times, that will allow you to be able to connect, I think, better with the schools and building that bond, because the key to teaching the kids and helping the kids, we also have to understand that the teachers are somewhat like parents to a certain degree, because when we're away as parents and we're at our jobs, they are in placement of the parents. So yeah.
This is Monica. Before you respond, I think that's really important what you said, and we've heard from many parents often that what they would like is to feel welcomed, and oftentimes it's that we can get better at providing a welcoming environment and making sure that as staff members that we're approachable. And I don't know if that means helping staff members with interpersonal communication classes. I mean, oftentimes it's just that the attitude switch of understanding that is part of the job of a teacher or a school staff member, that building those relationships is absolutely important, and it will result in better student outcomes. But that whole establishing a welcoming environment is key.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm like, school? I don't know. Yeah. It's okay.
Can I actually get the question repeated?
How do you feel that schools can connect better with parents?
I think I'll have to pass on that question.
Is there a lot yet to learn?
What was the question?
Do schools have a lot to learn?
I mean, every opportunity is to learn. The whole point, I think, sometimes too, and I'm sorry I took a second part of the question, just from experience itself, like just different schools, different environments, different cities, they cater to certain things. And I think that individually, if each person can understand that the common denominator of the school is to teach the kids and to grow to be in a better situation. Sometimes classes can be overwhelming, and you have kids who are very special, and I don't mean in a negative way. I mean special to where something is going on at home and they need more than someone else sitting next to them. So they demand attention, and that may be acting out, that may be, doing a couple of things that are not, not so good. But I think that understanding that every kid is special, every kid is an individual, knowing that sometimes you're going to get frustrated, sometimes it's okay as a teacher to pull away and to step away. Always understand that a reaction is never the issue, or is never the answer to anything, but just to be more available. And if you have to step away, then step away. But that's the benefit of the kid. That's the benefit of being able to build that connection, is to understand that having the tools, having the parents to be more involved, to build that connection will be the absolute best option, because that's the most benefit for the kid itself, and the school as a whole. Yeah. You got it.
Okay, so one, I think that schools need to start teaching more emotionally intelligent classes for the young kids. I mean, us parents go through difficult times, but us as children, they go through difficult times too. And if they're not taught the tools to how to effectively express themselves in a positive way, then they're going to express themselves in negative ways. And we see society is very negative, and there's a lot of negative things that you can do. And if we don't take a stand to educate them the right way, then society is going to educate them the wrong way on how to cope with what they're going through. Because a lot of times we don't give the children the right to express themselves and to feel what they feel. And I think a flaw with the whole educational system is that we're still going off the educational business model that was first started, that was geared towards factory workers, because they want us, to sit down, don't talk until you're spoken to, and I think a huge flaw is having one teacher per 30 students. What was just mentioned was each kid is learning at a different level, and if we try to teach them all at the same speed, people are going to get left behind, and a lot of people are going to get left behind, and people can start to feel like they're stupid and that they can't do it, and that they're not, they don't have what their peers have, because their peers are, passing the tests and passing the grades, and they're not. So, we don't bunch in 30 patients to one doctor, because we know every patient has a different symptom, and a doctor can't prescribe medication to all 30 patients, because it could really kill somebody or it can really hurt them. And, with what we're doing with the educational system is we're killing them mentally. We're trying to have a one prescription for all of them, and it's not working. We're seeing right now where people are graduating high school and they don't have a lot of life skills or the maturity to endure the real world. The real world's tough, and if we are not properly educating them, then we're doing them a disservice. It's unfortunate that, the more ignorant we are, the more easier we are to be controlled. And if we want to stop the systematic oppression, then we have to really start emotionally educating, them. And I think that if we have more emotional intelligent courses throughout school, elementary, junior high, high school, that when they're ready to go onto the real world, they'll be more mentally healthy as well.
Come on, Peter. Okay.
Thank you. Let's go to Fresno. I want to check in with Angelita and her crew. All right. Hello. Questions from Fresno.
We have two questions, but we'll ask one for time purposes. The question is, thinking about a time you felt like you were going to give up. How many times did it take to be resilient in that situation? How did you build it for yourself? How did you build resiliency for yourself? And yeah, so that's the question. So it's thinking about a time you were about to fail, or that you failed. In the process of doing that, what is it, or what did you do to build resiliency within yourself so that you could overcome that situation?
Got that?
I think so. Just to confirm, I think name a situation to where you think you failed or you have failed, and what made you continuously be able to go through it. Okay. Gracious, that's every day. I mean, just coming here I almost failed, but just understanding that there is something behind. We all were created. We all have something individually within us that we have to share. And the only thing in life is about giving, regardless of how, it's just about giving. And I think that sometimes our failures, they create us to be in a position to bring the best out of us. Every time that I do fail, I'll give a situation. There was a couple of months ago, and like I said, life goes up and down. So does the resources. So does the finances. Being a single parent, that's a part of it. I had a job, a couple of jobs. I always maintain one part-time job, but one main job is always my, goal to be able to give back. Um, Limited income. I had a situation to where I had a storage. I had a time where a friend at the time needed assistance, and me being the kind of person that I am, I offered that assistance to her. Um, Went to live in her house, stayed there for a whole year. That whole year, she was pocketing the funds. However, on my end, I had drained my 401k, my savings, just to be able to keep the connection of not letting her down. So I put myself and my family aside to be able to help someone who I thought was going to have my back. Long story short, or long story, or short story long, because it is pretty long, but I'll make it short. I had a storage. I had a storage for I was paying on for quite some time, and these were possessions that I will hold it on to for dear life. And I just felt that I had to continuously pay this because I was going to get a place and everything was going to be okay. I was going to just take what I had in there and maneuver it and shift it into where I was going to be. Well, that was not somebody else's plans because my storage was lost. So I lost everything. I lost a 3-bedroom house worth of possessions, clothes, and of my all-time favorite, all of my shoes. But I understood that there was something in this to say, you know what, regardless of what you go through, you try your best, and sometimes things are meant to be. They're going to happen. But that doesn't mean you can't do better. It doesn't mean you can't get better. Let go. I had to let go of that because that was consuming me. I was doing everything in my power and possession to hold on to it, but no matter what I did, I still lost it. At the end of the day, I felt that I was a failure. I lost all of my possessions from my kids, um, anything you could imagine. What's in your house? I lost it. But I understood, you know what? Things are just things. They're going to come and go. But the life that you build with your family, the life that you build with your friends, the life that you build with individuals that you come in contact that are there for you at your most lowest points is way more better than any possession. So my failures has always allowed me to see that, yes, it's going to be okay. You're going to fall. But knowing that I have my friends, my family, resources, and the drive to be able to share me as an individual, to be a testimony for somebody else to understand that, hey, you're going to go through it, you're going to fall. What can you do to be the light for somebody else? We all have that light within us. We all have that something that is necessary to share. And sometimes you're going to have to fail to get to that something. And it's okay because you are still equipped with that other thing to bring you out of that failure, to give you more drive to go, because you're there for a reason. You were born to create that. You were born to give something back. So failures are going to come every day. That's just a part of life. But it's the power you have within to share, to say that you can do better, you're going to get better, you're going to grow and continuously go, and never let something stop you from being the special you, or seeing the special in someone else. So failures are evident, but this is how you come out of that. So continuously I fall, but I'm going to always get up because I know that I have something to share, and that's me to share that light within me to pull the light from someone else.
So I think that us as individuals and as parents, we all go through tough times. I don't think that just parents go through tough times. Individuals, we all go through tough times. And, I face a lot of tough times, but it's not focusing on the tough times that's important, and it's realizing, it goes back to what I mentioned earlier, we only have control of a few things. We have control of our attitudes, we have control of our productivity. And if we try to control the things that we can't control, they're just going to continue to frustrate us. They're going to continue to sadden us. And that is going to reflect on us as our parenting, and it's going to affect our children. So when I go through tough times, it's realizing, okay, you know what, this is tough right now, but what is good about this situation? What can I control about this situation? And how can I keep moving forward? You know, us in society, we think that failure is negative, and we think that if we fail, we're failures. But when we fail, it's a part of the process. It's part of the learning process because when we fail, we learn. The only time we ever really fail is when we quit. And that's one thing that us as parents have to realize. We may fail our kids a lot, we may fail ourselves a lot, but we aren't failures and we have to keep moving forward.
Awesome. Any more questions? Fresno?
No, thank you. We'll let you continue.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, Carrie, what do we have? Do any of our online participants have any questions? Nothing so far? Okay. Now I'm going to go to the crew here. If you have a question, what I'm going to do is come over and hand you the microphone so everybody else can hear that. Who has a question here for panel? Anybody? What? Are you kidding me? No questions? Here we go. Thank you.
Was there a person in your life that you can remember when you were younger, like 18 to 24, that made a positive impact in the direction of your life?
Thank you.
Yes, there was actually an employer. She was, at the time I was an administrative assistant, and I was working temporary assignments because it was more flexible because I was a single mother. I'll slow down, I get really excited, I'll talk fast. So I was a single mother and she was a employer. She, I want to say was maybe the secretary, but she was the actual the person who hired me. At the time, I want to say I was 20 and I was pregnant, which is very scary for someone who is a single mom who is pregnant trying to get a job. The stability and saying I'm going to be here does not physically reflect that. But she believed in me and then she gave me the job. And I, of course, proved her for giving me that opportunity. It's so funny that you asked the question is because I think of her, I have thought of her last week, going through a low spell. And I kept in contact with her for quite some time, even after I left the job. And we kept in contact for a while. I used to call her periodically to ask her questions that I, of course, couldn't ask anyone in my immediate circle. I'm usually always the person who is the strong individual who's always giving advice, always the person to come talk to. But it's not often at times that I can have someone that's fairly experienced in life that's not involved in what I've been through. So her name was Pat Rose Cluster. I still remember her name. And her daughter was named Courtney because she used to always talk about Courtney. And she was an awesome individual. Just any question, any issue, anything that I needed, she was always there to respond. Even in the time when I left the company, she was there internet, wise. She would just respond. So yes, and that made a huge difference. To this day, a lot of the things that she taught me and information and knowledge she's given me, I still keep that to this day. So it's always awesome to have that one person, if not many, that's just the one person makes a huge difference in what you're going through. Thank you.
So for me, I think it was when I was 17, I joined Project Yes. And I feel like Project Yes really helped shape the direction I was going because I was getting ready to turn 18, in a year. And, the youth advisors there, I think that they really made a difference. And as a youth with not a lot of options or a lot of resources, having a program like that really made all the difference. I remember Dustin, the coordinator, he used to always get on me about cutting my hair. I used to have long hair. And I would tell him, it's one of those decisions that I want to cut it when I want to cut it, not because somebody is, telling me to cut it. But I really attribute where I am right now in life to being a part of Project Yes and taking advantage of the resources. And it goes back to, what I mentioned earlier, you guys are all resources, just like Project Yes was a resource. But if we ourselves don't take ownership of where we are at and where we want to go, then those resources are no good, because I know plenty of people who were in Project Yes with me that were in totally different places in life. And I'm thankful that I took advantage of the resources, and I took advantage of the help. And I'm glad that there's programs like Project Yes and programs like all of you guys that are here today, because you guys all do make a difference.
Any other questions from our group? No? Okay. All right. Well, again, I just want to take a few moments and thank you all again for joining us. I know, you all have shared so much for us to think about, and we're going to have the opportunity this afternoon to come back and have more conversations. And certainly, I think we've all been inspired from what we've heard from each of you and your experiences. And I hope if you can and you want to stick around, we'd love to have you. And if you have to leave us, we again just want to offer our appreciation for having you here and for sharing everything that made you resilient, because that's going to help us as we move forward and try and support the other parents and families that we're trying to reach out to. So thank you again so much, everyone. Let's give them a round of applause. So we are actually going to break for lunch. We're a few minutes early. I'll invite you all to come back at 1 o'clock. And after lunch, we're going to have, Jennifer has a fun activity that we're going to do here at our site, and folks in Fresno and Merced will get to watch that. And then we're going to have some cafe conversations in all of our sites that are going to help us delve a little bit more into how we can develop and support parental resilience. So thank you all, and we will see you all back at 1. You ready? All right. I want to welcome everybody back. No. All right. Thank you all for hanging in with us. Hope you had a fantastic lunch. I had some delicious pasta, which always seems like a good idea. And then later I think, I just want to take a nap. It was so good. Anyway, so we're glad to be back for the second half of the afternoon. And we are going to get started with an activity. I call them funtivities. So we have a great funtivity for you. So for those of you at the remote sites, you get to just kind of chill and relax and watch while Jennifer's going to come up and explain, and we're going to get some volunteers from our live site here to participate. So with that, I'm going to hand this over to Jennifer.
All right. So welcome back, everyone. So for our site here, if I could get, let's see, 5 people. So almost all of you. So 5. You're being called out because you're your name tags. So we're going to be over there in that area. No. Yeah. One more. One more. All right. Okay. So what we're going to do is you all can make a circle further out. Okay. Here. Do I have to keep hold that? Oh, yeah.
Got it. All right. I'm going to have you speak into this so people can hear you.
So what we're going to do is your goal is to not have items fall on the floor. So I'm going to be passing these items in, and we'll just start with one, and you're going to toss it to one person across from the circle, and then they're going to toss it to someone else, and then they'll toss it until everyone has had a chance to catch it, and it goes back to the person who started it. Okay, so we'll start with Nicole. You get the toss. Toss it to, yeah. Keep tossing.
So far, so good. You can go in whatever order you want. It's getting a little common. There's only two things here right now. Just two. Okay, here we go. Oh, keep going. Sorry. This group is juggling. They're juggling. Paul, go, Paul. Go, Paul. Get ready. Get ready, group. Here comes another. Let's go. Yeah, you can catch two things at a time. Feel free. Everybody's trying really hard to not, let things fall. Jennifer, do you have more items in there? That's it? Okay. Okay, let's do three more tosses and see where we end up. Quick. All right. Good job, groups.
Okay, so the point of this activity is how can that relate to our parents? the parents that we all work with.
I imagine that's the way they juggle their daily routine, their lives. It's full of just from all directions.
How did it feel after you had more than 2 or 3 items you were juggling? Only so they can hear you.
It was a little overwhelming.
Anybody else? So really, this is just to illustrate what our parents are doing. So they are juggling children and school and work and trying to find resources. And all of you, I didn't put any limitations on any of you. So thinking about if I would have asked Nicole maybe to only use one hand, it would have been very challenging for her. So thinking about our parents who maybe don't have transportation or don't have childcare, all of the obstacles and challenges that they face daily when they're coming in to see us. So it's just a good reminder for us to really think about where our families are at and what they're going through. So when they show up for that appointment a little late, maybe think about what they might have done to get there, all the obstacles and challenges they might have faced before they got through that door. And on the flip side is when they come through that door, thanking them, knowing that they they might have done a lot of different things to get to you today. And so just remembering that our families are juggling a lot. Even the families who have all of their resources met are still juggling a lot. And especially those families who are trying to find concrete needs, who are worrying about food and, shelter, they have a lot more challenges. So really just being open and listening and really no judgment. We heard from our panel this morning talk about they want to go somewhere where they're not going to be judged. So really just remembering that when you're working with parents. Are there any questions or comments from online participants or remote sites? We're sorry you didn't get to participate. Monica or Angelita, if you have any questions or comments, you can just raise your hand and we'll unmute you. Nope, I think we're good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to go back this way. Hello. Okay, group. So what I want to do right now is invite you to take a look. First of all, you have several handouts on the table that we have for you today. There is a knowledge to action brief. If you've been to our learning communities, you know this is kind of our knowledge to action portion of the day. So it's, we spent the morning kind of taking in some really cool reflection and some sharing from parents. And what we want to do this afternoon is kind of break that down a little bit and see what we can do with it. What were the sparks for us and what we heard? And what we're going to do next is have some conversation and kind of break that down a little bit. But we have a knowledge to action sheet about parental resilience that gives some information and some tips. We have a couple of flyers, some more information from CSSP's website on parental resilience. Nice handout there. Finally, too, I want to remind everybody that we do have our evaluation on the table, and it's 1 page now. It's not 2 pages, so it's much shorter. And we really do value your feedback. So before you go, we hope you'll take the time to share with us how your experience was today. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to have some cafe-style table conversations. So for those of you at our remote sites, we have these questions on the table. And these are going to be our cafe discussion questions that we're going to have today. We're going to get together and talk with each other about them. And what we're going to do is break up into groups, and Monica and Angelita, y'all can do that as you see fit in your site and at your space. If you want to stand, sit, however you want to do it. We want to have, I don't know, 3-4 groups, and we're going to invite the groups to have a conversation about the first question, which is what had real meaning for you from what you heard today, what surprised you and what challenged you. So we're going to give you some time to talk together and to share your responses and your reflections about that. And then when we're done with that, we're going to invite half the group at your table to stay, and then we're going to ask the other half to move on and join another group. So what we're trying to do, just like we do in our parent cafes, is to mix up groups. So we get people connecting with different people and not just the same group. At the same time, we would love for you to just jot down, have somebody at your group who's going to record some of the responses, just highlights. You don't have to go into a lot of detail. And someone who will agree just to share when we report out later. We'll have, once we're done with all the questions, we'll come back and do some sharing out by site and with our online folks, and just invite your responses, some of the highlights, some of the things that stood out to you. Okay? Anybody have any questions? Any questions from our remote sites? Pretty clear? Oh yeah, here we go.
For our online folks, if you click on the little plus sign by materials, you can see that there are 3 things that are in that little section. So you have the knowledge to action brief, you have the parental resilience PDF, and you have the VLC parental resilience. Oh, that's the PowerPoint. So you have all of those things. So you click on that and then you can save them and print them out yourself.
Thank you, Carrie. Okay, so with that, we'll get started. We'll start with the first question, and I will give you a prompt when it's time for you to wrap up, and then again when it's time for you to switch and change groups and go on to the second question. Okay? So first question again, what had real meaning for you from what you heard today? What surprised you and what challenged you? All right. So what we're going to ask folks to do is have half your group stay, have the other group rotate and find a new group. And when you get to your new group, we're going to go into the second question, which is, if there was one thing that hasn't been said in order to reach a deeper level of understanding or clarity today, what would that be? What is that one thing? So I'll invite you all to get up and move and spend some time delving into the second question. And again, take notes at your table. And I will invite you back and let you know we're going to wrap it up and then move on to the third. What do you think? We'll see if they can have a different combination. All right. Oh, sorry. I was going to give you guys a prompt. I forgot to do that. But it looks like there was a lot of good discussion around the second question, so super happy about that. What I'll invite you all to do now is to switch again for our Lib Hub here. That's going to be a little more challenging. We'll see if we can get yet a third combination of people here, however that works. It'll work. It's got to work. And for the rest of you in Merced and Fresno, we'll have you switch again. So half the group stays, half the group leaves. Paul is just staying here. He's not moving. He's just telling people where to go. There we go. All right. So again, if someone would take notes, just reflections and some of the highlights of what you're talking about. And this time we will want to have somebody from each of the groups prepared just to share a little bit about some of the highlights from your conversation. So the third question is, thinking about your agency, your site, your network, if your success was completely guaranteed, what bold steps might you choose? So what this means, if you could do anything and you knew you were going to knock it out of the park, it was going to be a success, it was going to be exactly what was needed, what would you do? What kind of action would you take? What things would you do if you knew that you were going to be successful? So that is your third question. So go ahead and take some time and discuss, and I will bring us back in probably about 8 minutes. Thanks. Or so. Uh-oh, she lost me. Are we on, Carrie? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm going to invite you all to wrap up your conversation. We are going to do some report outs by site. And so Monica, what I'd like to do is start with Merced, if we could do that. And in terms of reporting out, if you can just share some of the highlights from the first, second, and third questions, or just themes that you see that came up for people in the conversations that you had.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for one person from each table just to speak a little bit and kind of recap what was said at your table. We like to have a volunteer from one table go first. You could stand up there so they can see you. Whoever wants to go first. Who would like to go first? Just kind of lump whatever you want. Just give them a few highlights. All right. Stand up and kind of face there. And all right, here we go. Hello, this is Rebecca from Merced County. Let's see. So most meaningful. All right, so we had the fact that the way we're handling our day-to-day, each morning, our day-to-day as parents, we are teaching them resilience. We're showing them how we are resilient. Kind of read in the dark here. And about how you don't know how strong you are until you have actually hit your lowest low. And then I think most meaningful, or what surprised us, was something that we're thinking about, and it is also challenging. But the mom mentioned, one of the moms mentioned that if we could take into account who it is that helps them, we started thinking maybe it's male or female, or maybe they relate to someone their own age, or maybe they want someone that is older, that has more experience, or has had a similar upbringing, culture, things to that nature. If we could make that happen somehow, let them choose, maybe that would help them to feel more engaged and more willing to talk. Let's see. We were all surprised about the dad admitting to having dad guilt. We're all moms at the table, and we feel guilty almost all the time about leaving our kids to work, or we've had to leave them to go to school, or for different reasons, always feeling that the dads don't have any guilt at all. So we were very surprised that he admitted to feeling guilty about being gone and taking care of himself and his education. And then my group, we work for All Moms Matter in Merced County, and one of the things that we talk to our moms about and we stress is self-care. And so I think we are all still a little shocked about how much that was lacking still in the conversation. One of the moms mentioned that her kids were her life. I believe it was Veronica. She's still living for her kids, and her kids are her life. And, we stress the self-care. So we're still surprised that many of us are not thinking of ourselves. We want us to do that. Okay, that's it for my table.
All that rich discussions. Now's your time to share with us what you talked about. Who would like to go next? Go ahead, Nicole. I see you want to talk. Okay.
Am I going through all of the questions?
No, just some highlights.
Okay, so we found it surprising to hear the dad's perspective, like you guys did. We thought that was nice and interesting. What was really meaningful was the information on being welcoming to all, regardless of their status or their background, and self-care. We also thought that was really meaningful, is to try and push the self-care out there to them more. We talked about being able to provide them with ways of using self-care that aren't costly and aren't too time-consuming, because we do focus on ourselves so much, or on our children so much, and some of these people also are low income, and so a day at the spa is not realistic for self-care for a lot of them.
But your kids can walk on your back.
So giving them ideas of self-care that is cost-effective and not too time-consuming. And what challenged us was, so as being just one person, how do you make that impact of change that you want to see? So we kind of talked about making those real changes, even though we're just one person. And then for question 3, if we had any amount of money, what would we do? We talked about building a social network between parents, because not all families around here anymore have their families. And so, like, when school's out, then it's, they don't have the connection with other families and their own family. So being able to bring parents together with other parents and building a social network for them, that way they can have that once school's out and be able to do things, not just been cooped up in their house by themselves during the summer. They can actually go out and spend time with other families and keep that socializing up during the winter or summer break.
And our last table, did you have any last comments?
So I think the only thing left for us to add from our table was, I think that we were really surprised at the discussions about with the parents about self-initiative and how this has to be something that comes from within, and that we can provide services that augment that, and that we need to know our families very well, that it's not a one-size-fits-all. And I think that's kind of the other thing we took away from it, was it needs to be customized. There's not a general or universal concept that fit any of these families, and you have to know them well enough and have those relationships in order to get to a point where you are best meeting their needs, and that we truly need to learn from them and what's important to them so that we can provide something that's meaningful and beneficial and enable them to feel empowered and capable. And then we want them to go out and share that with others. And the concept of having these people mentor is just so powerful. More or less ours. Peace out.
That's it from us.
That was a great exit. Peace out. Nice. Thank you all. Sounds like you had some great conversations, and our parent panel gave you lots to think about. So thank you for that. Angelita, I think we'll move on to Fresno. And let's hear from our Fresno peeps and hear what reflections you have or what came up in your conversation in response to the questions.
Before we begin, would you like us to give you the reflections of the 3 questions or one in particular?
The 3 questions. You can start, go 1, 2, 3.
Okay, perfect. So we'll start with number 1. Let's see. It's right here. The question. Oh, you don't need to look at it, just the reflection.
Okay. So the reflection on theme 1, on the question number 1, was that parent resilience is overcoming difficulty no matter what the background needs are. What your background is, what your needs are. The connection is key, and to relate to families, to support them in accessing services and being more resilient. Parents decide to change. Number 1, to be open about challenges, to ask for help, and to do it and believing that they can do it. As a worker, it's important to be transparent in expectations from parents' participation and what they understand. And how do we help students individually or parents or caregivers? For question number 2, is that we are different. We have different approaches and understanding the differences. Building connections is key. Removing stigma in social services, preventive services, and asking for and receiving help. That we all make mistakes, and that understanding barriers, and we can also be barriers for ourselves. And number 3 is if we can be guaranteed success, I think as a group we would all create a one-stop shop, create a county-wide collaborative that would support families, support staff, support policies, that trains the trainers, that were culturally competent, humble, with mutual support, family and family-led services, and one database to share info and support for families in need.
That is all we have.
Wow, nice work. Great. Sounds like some more great conversations, and you took it to another level. I think when you talked about, what you would like to see in your county, across partnerships and collaboratives. So awesome. That's great. Lastly, we're going to report out to unless Carrie, was there anybody online? Okay. So I'm going to walk over to some of my partners over here and ask them to share out a little bit about some of the conversations at the table. I'm assuming you're reporting out. Is that right, Polly? Or you guys can share.
All right. So what we did for the first question, we said that we need to build relationships to be able to have our clients be vulnerable, to let us know of the struggles that they're going through, for staff to be non-judgmental. Also, it's important for, I think, on both sides to have positive attitudes about the situation that they're in, so they could be resilient. We need to have innovation in systems, school systems, in resource centers, to be able to work better with our community. be the impact. Like some of the presenters said, they had someone in their life that had that impact in them and created a positive change in them, and to understand them at their level. For our second question, we put, we didn't really answer it. We felt that the panel verbalized the protective factors, each in their own stories. So I think they really told us a lot of information and a lot of the struggles that they had in their life, but also the resilience that they have to continue moving forward. And the last question, we put I guess our dream would be to be able to have training that includes emotional and social competence, but also trauma informed at all the levels, but also build have time to build relationships, because I think that's one of the most important things, whether it's building relationships at school or building relationships with your own clients. That's what's going to give you results, because they'll be more vulnerable to tell you what's going on. And like one of the panelists said, it's like the doctor. If you tell a doctor, I only have this problem, then you're only going to get that solution. But if you tell them this and this and this, then you're going to get a better diagnose and a better prescription and a better service than you would. So that's what we have.
Congratulations, Dr. Pauly. We're going to bring you back. For this group, who wants to share? Oh, okay.
We liked, for the first one, we did like the one of the panelists saying the boo for naming negative self-talk. Also putting emotional intelligence in school, so that way the teachers are better informed. And then understanding different cultures, their ethics and their differences. For question number 2, you have to know how to engage the parents' resilience in themselves, and with a strength-based approach. And then the third question we already went over. It was the same one.
All right. Thank you. So again, lots of great conversation. We are, Jennifer is taking notes, and we know that you have notes from your, whoops, Shane's trying to figure out, where am I going? I'm moving around, Shane. I told you, it's a problem for me. I can't stay still. Anyway, so again, lots of similar themes. We heard a lot about, all right, it sounds like you had conversations about, real resilience in parents, and how do we support that, and how do we support bringing resilience out in the parents that we're working with. And I think we heard a lot today from our panelists about, what's helpful. We heard about, I think Paul just mentioned, approaching with the non-judgmental openness when you're meeting with parents, listening, but also inquiring, and hopefully the work that we do is going to prompt our parents that we're working with to share with us more than just that one maybe initial thing, and that we have the patience and the endurance with parents to continue to build the relationship so that those things can come forward. And it sounds like everybody has lots to think about in terms of goals for the future, whether it's taking a look at your internal culture, your environment, and is it welcoming? What's the message that parents are receiving, when they're coming? So good thoughts, things to pay attention to there. And then, of course, looking across at all your partners and figuring out how you can work together to make sure that parents are supported and that we are connected in supporting their resilience. So really great work with everyone today. We're so happy that you all could join us. I want to again direct your attention to our evaluation. And we've got on the screen, there's a couple of other resources. There's a great website by a group in Michigan, it's one of the other M states, Michigan. Whatmakesyourfamilystrong.org, really cool. If you go on there, you can click through and see kind of a fun website they have for parents that has tips on all of the protective factors and actually practical things that parents can do to really engage each protective factor. So kind of a fun interactive site. So I would encourage you to go on there. In fact, this handout on your table comes from that collaborative group. And I really love this because it's in very fun, plain language. It's great for parents. And you can print these out for free. It's copyrighted by the group, but you can print these out for free and distribute these to your folks. So great resources, evaluations. Oh, go ahead, Jen. So, and then we invite you to come back for our final learning community in our series. It will be on May 24th. You can go again to the Strategies website and register for that. We will be coming out with more details about where our sites are going to be, either remotely or here at our live hub. And we're looking forward to another good learning time together. In the meantime, make sure that you're on our mailing list. I think most of you are. We will be we'll be putting out a newsletter and sending it to everybody in our group so that you can be up to date on what's happening in the Valley, as well as other events that Strategies is doing, training opportunities, and other ways to connect to learning. So with that, I think we are done, and we hope to see you on May 24th. Thank you.